So let's make a start on this one. I'm sure Jan will keep up with this when we get back. So the point of this wine was to hopefully to show an almost complete contrast to wine number one. So first of all, let's have a look at the intensity. What do you think, pale, medium or deep? Hopefully you can see straight away it's deeper, isn't it, than wine number one was.
It's medium.
Yeah, I would still say it's medium. You're absolutely right. Yeah. Most white wines will fall into either pale or medium. You'll rarely get to deep. Maybe some sweet wines might be deeper in colour, and some fortified wines might be deeper. And certainly when it comes to red, we'll see deep wines, but white wines, we'll stick to the pale and medium. So this would be medium. Then next, we just decided this was medium deep, Jan. So yeah. Okay, and then the colour. What are you going to go for?
Lemon.
A very low carat gold.
Yes, I agree. I think this would be hard to decide between lemon and gold. And I would give you the mark for either or, to be honest with you. You can only say one, of course, but I would probably say I couldn't decide between the two, so it doesn't really matter. So you decide which you prefer. I would be going for gold. I think it's just got an additional warmth about it that I think I would put it down as gold. But I would let you have a mark for lemon as well. Does that make sense? So it's medium, lemon or gold. Okay, and then the intensity on the nose. So firstly check the condition, and it's nice and clean. And then give the glass a swirl. Have a deep sniff and decide on the intensity. What do you think? Light, medium or pronounced?
Medium.
I think we're up a level. I think if you're thinking to yourself medium, you need to think to yourself, is it medium plus or is it medium minus? And I very much hope you'd go medium plus with this one. I'm going to go pronounced. I think this is pronounced.
The medium plus would be wrong, but medium would be. That's like the...
Yeah, medium would be. Yeah. I definitely want to see you say medium plus for this one. And then your aroma characteristics. Now, hopefully, straight away you can pick out that this wine has got more aroma characteristics in than the last wine did, and we can have a bit more fun with our primary and secondary characteristics. We might even have some tertiary in there, but let's stick with the primary for now. So look at your lexicon if you need to on the back of your card. And what do you think under primary fruit?
I think more in the area of peach and mango and riper fruit.
Good. Okay. Yeah, definitely. So stone fruit and tropical fruit. Don't just say stone fruit and tropical fruit though. Make sure you pick out a stone fruit and a tropical fruit to mention.
You can't generalise and plump for something tropical. Unless
you think it's a simple wine, then you must state that it's simple. So if you honestly can't decide between peach and apricot, say simple stone fruit notes, and then you'll get the mark for simple, and you'll get the mark for stone fruit.
I'd have to practice that for the difference between peach and
Yeah.
For me, that's
For me, peach is. I always think of. What's that stuff you used to make up with milk? Angel Delight. So that's how I recognise peach in a wine. Apricots, I think more of jam, I suppose, and apricot. Because I don't eat a lot of peaches or apricots. I can't be bothered. Usually they're pretty horrible, unless you buy them in a really good. Yeah.
So sweet.
Yeah. Okay, so I completely agree. So I think we could say peach here. I think we could possibly say nectarine as well, although there's very little difference to me, for me, in between. For me, the difference between a peach and a nectarine is textural, so it's, I would say either of those two. And I completely agree, there's mango in here, possibly even passion fruit and pineapple as well. Okay, now what about secondary characteristics? Move into the next cluster. And what do you think that we've got going in here? So again? Biscuit. I was just exactly going to say biscuit. Yeah, good. There's definitely some lees aging gone on in this wine. Lees are the dead yeast cells.
What type of biscuit do you
What type of biscuit?
No,
come on.
biscuit in Dutch, biscuit, is like almost savoury biscuit.
Right.
So
No,
I
no.
don't
For
think
me,
that's
it's
what
like
I'm
it's like a hobnob biscuit.
Okay,
It's like an
yes.
oaty, crunchy biscuit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Digestive.
Digestive.
Because biscuit to me is toast, like almost.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so that's
yeah,
why
yeah. Well, toast. Yes, and this is the thing. Again.
double baked, basically.
Yeah. So for the purposes of this, you need to kind of think UK phrases.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
That's what I'm trying to.
It's a UK exam, so you need
Yes.
to think UK phrases. Toast would be, as in bread, toasted in a toaster, would
That's
be
the
a
same.
genuine term to use as
Yes.
well. We'd describe that as toast, and you'd be welcome to use that, I think, to describe this wine too. The other thing that this wine has is butter. Absolutely, this is buttery. So the biscuit and the toast come from what we call autolysis or lees aging, and we'll talk about that in more detail when we do winemaking in a couple of weeks' time. The butter comes from malolactic fermentation, and malolactic fermentation is the conversion of malic acid, which is tart acid that you get in wine, to lactic acid, which is a creamy acid that you get in wine. And again, we'll talk about that in more detail next time. But the malolactic fermentation results in buttery notes in the wine. Okay. And there's definitely, for me, a buttery character in here. It's a bit like popcorn. You've got this sort of buttered popcorn note in this wine as well. And then finally, this wine is all about secondary characteristics for me, much more than primary. Finally, you've got oak as well. There is also some vanilla in here. I think we could throw in coconut. Coconut I struggle with sometimes, but just think of a Bounty bar. Or just go home, get yourself some desiccated coconut and toast it. I often do that to add to granola. You get that note coming through in this particular wine. Yeah, vanilla and coconut does it for me. Perhaps there's some butterscotch in here as well, or caramel, something like that, which is also to do with oak.
Can you comment on the nose whether there's more alcohol? It smells a little bit more.
Yeah, you can do actually. I think you can. Not according to the systematic approach, but in my own head, and I often do. You can note the alcohol on the nose. You get a. Ugh.
It just gives you a wee.
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
Just thinking spirits.
Yeah.
That sensation.
Yeah. And this is definitely higher. So this is up at 13.5%. So which is higher than the previous one we did. Okay. So what about tertiary? Have we got any tertiary notes in here?
Isn't the caramel tertiary?
Caramel is more often associated. Well, actually, they've put this down as they have. It's deliberate oxidation. So, I was going to say almond. I think it's got an ever so sort of delicate sort of almondy note on this wine. I agree. You can put the caramel in there as well. So we're definitely getting some tertiary notes. And so these tertiary notes are notes that have come since the wine has been in bottle. Okay. Cool, so we've got a bit of everything in there. So how are we going to describe the development? I would
Or
still,
you're developing or fully developed, right?
yeah, I would still stick with the developing
Yeah,
because
sorry, yes.
because the primary and the secondary notes dominate over the tertiary notes. Okay, once the tertiary notes dominate over the primary and the secondary, then we can say it's fully developed. Okay, but at the moment it's still developing. It is only 2014, so it's still only 2 years old. So this has got a lot of development to do, but for the time being, it's still just in the developing category. Right then, on the palette. Okay, sweetness. You're still dry with this wine, so stick with dry.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
Maybe because there's so much fruit.
Exactly. Fruit sometimes can trick you into thinking the wine is sweet. Alcohol can sometimes trick you into thinking the wine is sweeter as well. So just be very aware of that. Most of the white wines, almost all of the red wines that we try are going to be dry. What about the acid? Higher or lower than the last wine?
No.
Lower. Good. So whereabouts are you going to put it in this category?
I think there's still some acidity, considering there's so much fruit you can still taste. So if we then still taste some acidity, it must be quite good. So maybe medium minus or medium.
Medium. Yeah, I'd go with medium. Yeah. Forget tanning because we're talking about a white wine. Consequently, you'll only get 20 marks for your white wine, 21 marks for your red wine, because for when you do a red wine, you have to comment on tannin. Alcohol, low, medium or high? Medium, yeah. It is still, because it's 13.5%, it still falls into the medium category. It's definitely higher than the last wine, so well done for noting that, Neil. But it is still only falling into the medium category. Hopefully at some stage we'll try something that's high, so we'll be able to see what that feels like. And the body, where are you going to put that compared to the last one?
There's more weight to it. What type of medium?
Okay.
How far up the scale we go?
I would put this up to medium plus. Okay. So you're definitely right. This is fuller bodied than the last wine. So let's go with medium. And I think we can just push it up a notch to medium plus.
Give me an example. Something that would be full bodied.
For most,
it's like a really high alcohol.
yeah, most still dry white wines will rarely hit the full body mark. This full body is reserved mostly for big reds like Bordeaux and Rhones and Aussie Shirazes and things. Okay, what about the flavour intensity? Do you want to take another mouthful? Tell me what you think of the flavour intensity and flavour characteristics.
Medium?
Say that again.
Medium?
Yeah, medium. I agree. I think the nose delivered a lot more aroma than the palate actually delivers. So we said medium, no, we said pronounced, didn't we? I think for the aromas. I think you're right. Pull it back for the palate, which you do sometimes. So medium flavour intensity. And the flavour characteristics, primary, secondary and tertiary. You can say the same things as you said on the nose. That's absolutely fine. You don't have to say them all because you've only got 3 marks here to play with, so you only need to say 3 different things. I would have said, for me the palate's quite appley. Possibly I would throw in some apple, and I might even say sort of a bit of stewed apple as well. For me on there, it's a bit like the apple that you might have in a crumble, for example, apple pie, kind of just slightly stewed apple in there. So I'd pop that into my primary characteristics. I'd put the peach in as well.
And now the melon, but the cantaloupe melon, the yellow one.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think there are so many tertiary characteristics on this particular wine, so I'd probably concentrate on the primary and the secondary, and I'd say the vanilla and coconut. I think the oak comes through a lot more stronger than perhaps the biscuit and the malolactic fermentation on that came through on the nose. And again, that's often the way. Wines are often more aromatic and complex on the nose than they are on the palate, and so a lot of pleasure, or a lot more of the pleasure, can be had from nosing the wine and smelling the wine than the palate sometimes. And actually, that is often a sign that the wine is not ready to drink yet. If you're getting this amazing aroma, yet the palate still feels quite undeveloped and flat, that could be because it just needs a bit more time in bottle to develop more complexity and release more flavours. The finish I thought was quite long on this one, so I think we could push the finish up to medium, possibly even medium plus. And then we move on to our conclusion. I would say this was very good. It was balanced. You could possibly say that the alcohol felt a little. Neil picked it up straight away on the nose, and that's not always a good sign. That could show the balance is out just a little bit. But I would say that everything was in balance. You need to say what's in balance. So I would say something like the fruit and the alcohol are nicely balanced, or something along those lines. The length, well, that was medium plus. The intensity we described as pronounced on the nose, and the complexity, well, we had loads of different aroma characteristics coming through, so it's showing that it's capable of some real complexity.
So it's pronounced a good word, adjective.
For intensity, yeah. So that all puts it into the very good category. Level of readiness for drinking or potential for aging. I would say can drink now but has potential for aging. The fact that the palate was not nearly as exciting as the nose helps us determine that. And it has the weight, it has the intensity and complexity that we're pretty sure this wine is going to develop further.
Would you need to justify that decision, or would you?
No, just make the statement. Just make the statement.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense for that second wine?
Yeah.
Yeah. And
It's
it,
a great contrast with
yeah, I'm really pleased with it because I've not tried this wine before. So this is a Chardonnay, and it's from Argentina. It's a Catena Chardonnay from Argentina. Again, the wines are all on the Dropbox folder, but this is one of their premium products, and absolutely it showed exactly what I wanted it to. That combination of autolysis, of good quality fruit in the first place, autolytic character, malolactic fermentation characters, and oak, all combining to produce a really good quality wine.